I love the part where it said, King Lear don't got nothing on me. Y'all gotta see it, it's really good. You know who's got the hardest job tonight? Javier Bardem and his wife are both nominated. Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins. Like, please, Lord. Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? That was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Uh-oh, Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
Get my name out your fucking mouth.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane joke.
Keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth!
I'm going to, okay? Okay. That was a greatest night in the history of television. Okay. Okay. So we are here to give a documentary out, to give an Oscar out for Best Documentary. Now, the beauty of documentaries, because they make you, when you watch one, you feel smart. Like you watched them, like, you know, like you read a book or something. But all you really did was get high and watch Netflix. So here we go.
It's Jeff. Well, I hope everybody had a good weekend, and your weather is getting better, I guess, hopefully. And here, I mean, it's we're kind of teetering on winter and spring-like kind of temperatures here, and right now it's just kind of snowing a little bit outside, but it's really too warm for it to accumulate, so we're easing into spring here in Maine. Well, what a friggin' riot there the Oscars ended up being last night, huh? Jesus. I'll tell you, you know, here's the thing. I wasn't even watching the Oscars last night, okay? I was just watching regular television. And when I was watching was done and I started flipping the channels, everybody on TV was talking about this fight at the Oscars. It's like, what the hell? And they couldn't get to the specifics quick enough, so I used my my phone, and I got online with my phone, and I just was reading what was there. And I saw like 10,000 videos posted of the slap at the damn Oscars last night, and I was like, what in the hell just happened? So I see that Chris Rock, who you know is always telling jokes because that's what his career is, and he was joking about things, and then he come to Will Smith's wife, Jada, and Jada has alopecia, I guess. I didn't even know that until last night. I didn't even know she had that because her hair, she had cut it off, I guess. And I notice a lot of women have been doing that, you know, for a hairstyle. So it looked normal to me, you know. But apparently there was another reason behind it. And of course, I don't keep up with the Hollywood gossip and stuff that goes on a lot of times. You know, I just, you know, it would be a lifelong occupation because there's always something going on in Hollyweird, you know. Last night was no exception. So I see that, you know, she had that. So Chris Rock tells this joke to her specifically and says, I'll see you in G.I. Jane 2, looking forward to it, or something like that. I didn't get it right off what he meant by that, okay? I was thinking she wasn't in G.I. Jane, the first one, or whatever, you know, and I didn't get it. But before I could even think about it, why he said that as a joke, Will Smith gets up out of his seat after he was laughing at first, and then he gets up and he walks up to Chris and he just, you know, just friggin' smacked him, you know. I was like, what the I mean, these two guys used to act together on TV. I remember on Fresh Prince and stuff, and he goes up there and he does that, and then he hollers at him from after he goes and sits back down and says, you keep my my wife's name out of your fucking mouth. And I'm like, okay, now, you know, for some reason, I didn't think this was staged because, the whole fucking media wouldn't have been on top of this thing, okay? And the audience was kind of like dead quiet. I mean, you could hear a pin drop in there when this happened, and the look on Chris's face looked anything but, you know, like he was expecting it. Okay, he was like shocked, and you know, you could see all the emotions running through his eyes. And Will Smith himself didn't look none too like in control. I mean, because, you know, if they knew this was going to happen, these expressions wouldn't have really been there. Okay, I don't care if they're actors or what. Okay. I see this look in Will for the first time since I've been watching him on TV, and this didn't look like acting to me. This looked like he was really pissed off. But I'm thinking, well, why the hell were you laughing when everybody else was laughing at first? And then when the camera pointed at Chris and we see him walking up on the stage, I thought maybe he was going up there to do something silly with him, and instead he slapped him. I'm thinking that was a pretty low blow, you know? And so then when I replayed it, and I saw that Will Smith's wife Jada was sitting in with a green dress on, and when Chris said the joke, at first she kind of smiled, and then the smile kind of disappeared, and she looked like she got really pissed, and she looked at Will, and that's when I think Will got up and went over there. But I'll tell you, that must have been like a how can I say it, a telepathic thing, because I mean it happened almost immediately after the cameraman just switched from the couple on the floor to Chris on the stage, and then this thing happened. So it seemed like it was a really, you know, quick temper thing, you know, where he just snapped right off, and he goes up there and he slaps him, and I'm thinking, boy, that was not called for. I mean, there's a million ways that he could have handled that situation without going on TV in front of the public and acting like this bully, okay, and hitting this guy. I mean, come on, like I said, these two guys know each other. I mean, you mean to tell me they couldn't have just sat down in a commercial break and just said, hey, look, you know, I didn't like that, you know, or something, and have him apologize to his wife or something, you know, because, you know, comedians oftentimes put their foot in their mouth when they're doing comedy. Okay, we hear these stories all the time, but rarely do we ever see anybody get up and go and slap the guy for doing something, and I think that was really, really out of Will's you know, purview. He never should have done that. I mean, look, I mean, isn't there sort of a rule that when the show was on, guys on the stage, nobody else is allowed on the stage unless you're called up there? Okay, so the fact that Will got up on the stage and he wasn't called up there was like, okay, now what's happening now? You know, it's like, well, because you figure, well, it must have been rehearsed, right, or something. That's what people obviously thought, because he wouldn't have been up on the stage. But apparently, Will didn't give a shit, okay, and no security showed up because I don't think anybody expected Will to do that. All right, and so he comes up on the stage, and Chris was kind of giggling about it, and then all of a sudden, slap, and then he turns around and goes and sits back down before anybody could do anything to stop it. So I was like, Jesus, you know. So, you know, a lot of people they had all various opinions about it. Some were really mad at Chris Rock for having said the joke, which, yeah, I could say was in poor taste after I found out why he said it, commenting on her hair. But you know, women love their hair, and when my mother had cancer and she was losing her hair, the family got together and they got her a wig to wear in place, you know, of her hair. I mean, she felt embarrassed to go out, you know, wearing something to cover, you know, she just didn't feel right about it. Whereas Jada didn't cover her head at all. She just went out as it is. But I think, like, you know, a lot of people say, I mean, it looks normal to me, you know, to see a woman with her hair cut like that. I mean, I see it all the time, different shows on TV and stuff like that. And I think, you know, a woman can pull it off that way too. But I guess, I mean, if she really felt that bad about having her hair, I mean, cut off or whatever, or gone, I mean, it's just, I just think, like, well, you know, why did she ask Will to do something about it? Or was it Will that just decided on his own to get up and hit the guy? I mean, so, I mean, I really don't know who said what off stage to prompt that attack, but it really was inappropriate. And Will should have known better. Christ, the guy's what, 50-something years old, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's just, he's old enough to know better. I mean, he wouldn't let his son do something like that. We know that. But then, you know, you figure about, you know, Jada had ran around on Will a few years ago with some other guy. And, you know, so there's a lot of history there with the couple. That's really kind of, some people would say it's just weird, you know, their marriage is kind of weird. And so, you know, it just, of course, this what happened last night had nothing to do with the marriage thing. It was all about Jada and having alopecia. And I don't think Chris Rock really thought before he opened his yap to say something. I thought he was trying to be cute and funny, but you know, the more funny part was there were people laughing in the audience at the joke, and even Will was laughing. But then all of a sudden, it just did like a 180, and it turned into this. I mean, in the anger. So I'm like, well, Jesus, either you're mad or you're you know, giggling about it. So it was really weird. It was a very weird incident to happen during the Oscars, and it was like two guys that really should have thought before they did something. Okay, two wrongs don't make a right. And you know, it's just like I said, if Will's got a thin skin like that, then you know, he's going to be spending the whole of his life beating up people that talk about him or talk about his wife or something, because I hear that all the time. Or not here, I read it. You know, tabloids everywhere. There's always a story or an article about Jada, or there's always something going on about Will Smith, or you know what I'm saying? But you know what the icing on the cake was, and this was really unfortunate because Will got his first Oscar last night. Okay, the first ever he got, and having it come to him at a time when he did what he did on the stage, and then he gives this speech during his reception of the Oscar, and the speech is filled with hypocrisies, because everything he was saying on the stage did not reflect what he had just done minutes before to Chris Rock. Okay, he's talking about loving people and guiding them, protecting them, you know, saying all these things, and I'm thinking, you know, what you're saying doesn't even equal to what you're trying to do. I mean, he was saying that God was guiding him on a path to love people, okay? And I felt like, you know, does anybody else in this room feel like this is a very hypocritical speech coming from a guy who just slapped the hell out of a guy on a stage? You know, I mean, I felt like all the air was taken out of his victory just from that one incident, you know, minutes before. And he apologized to, you know, the people that do the Oscars or the Academy. He apologized to them, but he didn't apologize to Chris Rock. I'm thinking, well, if you're going to love people, wouldn't that be the first step, is to apologize to the person you assaulted on the stage, which, by the way, got police attention, but Chris Rock didn't want to press charges, okay? So maybe Chris realized that he overstepped himself when he made that joke about Jada, and he figured one good turn deserved another, and he got, you know, and they're even. So there was no point in pressing the charges. But there's people out there that think that he should, but I'm thinking, well, you know, these are two guys that are friends, or were friends. let them deal with it. Let them, you know, hammer it out how far they want to take this, you know. But there was very little redeeming quality there from last night, and I felt this totally ruined his night. If he knew he was going to get that Oscar, he ruined it. He ruined it for himself and everybody that was watching it, that were fans of his and stuff. I mean, some people said they lost all the respect for the man for doing what he did. Even though Chris made that joke, that doesn't mean that a guy has the right to get up and defend his wife with his fist, you know, or something like that. Okay, there's better ways to deal with situations like that, especially when you're somebody of you know, of that kind of status. It didn't have to happen. People make disagreements all the time or say stupid things all the time, but they don't result to settling it by beating each other to death, you know, at least not in most cases. But but Will, I mean, it was like, you know, Jesus, you know, there was, like I said, a multitude of ways that he could have dealt with this, and there wouldn't have been any you know, any attention given to it. And the fact that he won his Oscar, and, you know, at the same time, and then he's up on the stage giving a speech, and he says, "Oh, I'm not crying because I'm happy." Okay, so what does it mean? He's crying because what? He's sad, that he's embarrassed, that he's you know, he's feeling guilty about what he done. I mean, is that? I mean, you know, maybe the guy had too much to drink. I mean, everybody at their tables had alcohol there. Who knows? Maybe he was drinking too damn much because he was too excited about whether he was going to get that award or not. And, you know, some people, they need to drink in order to calm their nerves, and maybe he was a little too calm. So, you know what I'm saying? But I doubt Will's going to lay all the blame on alcohol, but it definitely was inappropriate, and I think that both these guys need to, you know, forgive each other here in some way, and just, you know, move on, because this could be like a downward spiral from Will Smith now, and being marked by yesterday's incident, that from now on, you know, his career is going to start to slide downward after he just won his first Oscar. You know, I mean, everyone's going to be able to pinpoint it right on a map exactly when, you know, his approval in Hollywood started to sink, was the night of his Oscar. It's definitely going to be an Oscar night that many won't forever forget, because for those who were there and witnessed that firsthand, you know, they're going to, I mean, Denzel Washington, during the commercial break, I guess he went up to Will and told him and said, "Look, when you're at your highest, be careful, the devil's waiting," you know. And you know, he's right, because when you're at your highest, that's when you're full of yourself, and you think you can fly amongst the clouds. You can't do any wrong. And I think, in a way, maybe that's how Will was feeling, is that, you know, hey, I'm getting my Oscar, and, you know, I can do what I want. I can walk on shit, you know, and come out smelling like a rose. And, you know, usually that kind of ego inflation will lead you right down the path into disaster, and then, like it did that night. But at the same time, you don't go and make a joke about a woman's problem, you know, whether, you know, she's got alopecia or whatever, cancer or some damn thing. You don't make a joke about it, because they're not going to really laugh about it, and it would really embarrass them if they hear everybody else around them laughing about it, like nobody likes her. Okay, and so yeah, Will, who was laughing himself, I guess maybe he felt that he needed to get up there and do that in order to how could I say, absolve himself of laughing about the joke, you know, in front of his wife. And so maybe he was embarrassed, guilty, and annoyed all at the same time, and that's why he did what he did. It was just on top of waiting for his Oscar, which he thought he was going to get, and then all this happening, it was like it was the perfect storm that was going to push him over the edge and have him do what he did. I think that's kind of, maybe that's closer to what I think might have happened, was that, you know, he saw that his wife wasn't too thrilled about the joke when he was laughing about it, and then he got embarrassed. And so he went up there to try to restore his honor, if you will, by beating the hell out of his friend. You know, and I'm like, Jesus. And then he turns around and he gives that speech afterwards, and I'm like, God, does this sound hollow or what? I mean, I don't think anybody in the audience really thought much of what he was saying as being very honest or whatever, because it just seemed like he was trying to do two things at once. He was trying to honor the people that gave him his award, and he was trying to smooth over what he had done minutes before to Chris. You know, and the speech came off as very hypocritical and, you know, self-serving, and it just, you know, the message got lost because of that, you know, and it ruined his night. I think it really did ruin his night. And whenever he looks at that Oscar, that's always going to remind him of what he did wrong, you know. And that was the worst thing that could have happened. So, anyway, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us.
This is your chance to do something good.
George, found your turtle and your plane.
Thanks, Dad.
Can't find the soap.
Here. You're still out of soap. Zest is different. Makes you feel cleaner than soap.
Here's why. Soap leaves a sticky soap film. Zest doesn't. Even after rinsing, soap film's still there.
Zest. Some lather. Good clean feeling, too. That shower made me feel great.
It's the Zest.
Try Zest. Feel cleaner than soap.
If you believe in magic, then I've got a place for you.
There's fun at every table with tricks by you-know-who. There's lots of tasty food. The Duke of Town might be there, too. You can enjoy a magic meal and put on magic feel. While Burger King makes magic,
I doubt it.
That'll sweep you off your feet. Yeah, magic makes it special when you're with Burger King.
My American Eagle can go just about anywhere under the sun. Anywhere. Come on.
Eagle's automatic four-wheel drive gives me the confidence to take the family to the beach the hard way. Eagle even hauls my boat out of this. Now, I wouldn't try that in an ordinary compact. Eagle's four-wheel drive automatically directs power for the traction to get out where there's nothing but woods, and occasionally another Eagle.
The Eagle has landed on all fours at American Motors.
Come get in. Something to drink. Oh, 2 weeks in the desert and you bring us beer? We want something special. Bull. Bull?
The Schlitzmott Liquor Bull. It is a special premium brew that's in a glass by itself.
What extraordinary taste. Come get in. How can we repay you?
Well, Sahib, I do take all major credit cards.
If you want to change of pace, don't say beer, say bull. Bull. The Schlitzmott Liquor Bull.
At long last, the glorious invasion of Ukraine begins. Soon, the motherland will take the wayward province into her firm embrace again. Field Marshal Putin offers cheers and many celebrations for American comrades who showed loyalty to Mother Russia. We have much gratitude and thanks for Fox News, most especially Comrade Tucker Carlson. For his loyalty, will receive highest Russian honor, the Order of Lenin. We thank Steve Bannon, admirer and student of Comrade Lenin, who led the Republicans to support of Comrade Putin's plans for Greater Russia. We thank GOP Comrade Senator Joshua Hawley, who blocked enemies of Russia that the warmonger Biden wished to appoint to his regime. Russia waits 40 years for American Republicans to throw away disgrace of Ronald Reagan. Republicans say they stand for America. Comrade Putin knows better.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Well, one of the other things that's got the media buzzing right now is Clarence Thomas and his wife. Apparently, his wife is a friggin' right-wing lunatic. Which I didn't really know, but she was a Trump supporter there, and they found some text messages that she had sent to people, what was his name? Mark Meadows, rather. Mark Meadows. That was Trump's chief of staff. And she was looking to have him begin the procedure of overturning the election. And I'm saying, oh, that's not good. Somebody on the Supreme Court has a wife that was actually sort of involved in this coup that was trying to happen against Biden. I'm thinking that's, and then you find out that, hey, he's sitting. Clarence Thomas, he's sitting on the Supreme Court listening to these the hearings and stuff about the riots and everything on January the 6th. And people are saying, well, now that we know that his wife was involved in this, why doesn't he recuse himself? And the answer is that Supreme Court justices don't have to. Okay, for some reason they're not required to recuse themselves of matters that might pertain to them. And I'm thinking, well, you're just setting up a problem right off the bat if you don't let them do this, because or if you don't require them to do it, because who the hell, what judge is going to sit and side against his own wife? In a situation like this, of course he's going to support her. And if that one judge matters at the end of the day on what happens, then you shattered justice. You might as well take that statue with the justice holding the scale and just throw it right in the garbage, because you're basically saying that justice don't matter when it comes to this highest court in the land. All right, which goes to, you know, adds to on top of the problem that I have with the Supreme Court about them constantly re-reviewing cases and changing the verdicts, you know, whenever they feel like it. And now we find out that these judges don't have to recuse themselves if they're involved in something that they're, you know, they're talking about. So I'm thinking, well, there's two stains on the court that we need to do about, okay, to change that around to make that more fair, because we got other courts in the country and their judges are required to recuse themselves if they're involved in something going on, okay, and it's in court. All right, now if it's required of them, it has to be required of us. You can't have it both ways, okay? Those judges in the smaller courts and the judges up in the higher courts, they all have to be doing the same. They have to follow the same rules. I mean, I don't know why anybody thought that not requiring Supreme Court justices to do that was important, or what they were thinking, but it seemed like they baked. You know, they set it up where there's already a problem right in the system, you know, and we definitely need to go and make changes in about that, okay, because that's not right. And it makes me wonder, I mean, are we going to have to review all the cases that the Supreme Court has heard over the years to see if any of those justices had an axe to grind in the friggin' thing they were talking about? I mean, are we going to have to go back and reevaluate every friggin' case, you know, and say, okay, well, this judge and this judge, we're all in this together here, you know? So it's like, you know, now we're going to have to throw away, what, 200-300 years worth of Supreme Court verdicts here because we didn't follow a simple rule about recusing justices when they were in on the game, you know? So it's like, so you've opened up a Pandora's box here that now that the rest of the country is now aware of, because I don't think many people even knew this. I think it was a surprise to a lot of people that, hey, what are you talking about? You know, they don't have to recuse themselves, because I think everybody just assumed that they do, because the other judges do, right? So they just assume that the Supreme Court ones do. But no. So we hear now that Clarence Thomas, and you know, I guess he's not saying anything, okay, just to lay off the top here. He's not answering questions because I think he knows that he may have said things to his wife that might lead to him also getting even deeper into this thing than he already is. He might have been actively involved in trying to overturn the election himself, you know. I can't see that his wife was all alone in this. If he's Republican, and I think he would have tried to help out in some way. And if it comes out that he did, then, you know, I think they're going to have to demand that he recuse himself. I mean, I just don't think that they're going to just allow this to go on and him sitting on the bench. I mean, come on, you know. So there is talk in Washington about this and about, you know, trying to get him to recuse himself. But I mean, does he have to? I mean, if there's no rule that says he does he really have to? Because he could challenge anybody ordering him to step down on that basis, you know. So that's going to be a really tangled web there that's going to have to be undone in order to get this all ironed out here, because it's really, ugh, you know, people have known for years our justice system ain't honest. There's flaws in it, okay, and we know where the flaws are, but we have to start doing something about fixing them, okay, and we really haven't. I don't think we've really fixed enough, and we still have problems. From the smallest court right up to the highest court in the land, it's not perfect any way you look at it. And personally, I wouldn't want to, you know, put my life on the line for this system of justice we got in this country. I don't care what they say about it being the best system in the world. What you got to do is look at the odds. You know, what are your odds of winning a case in this country? What are your odds of winning a case in another country? You know what I'm saying? You know, that's how you got to look at it. It's not about what system you have. It's about, you know, how fair is that system? How is that? What are your odds if you're innocent? You know, and you're being falsely accused of a crime. Are you going to be able to get away with it, or is it a 50-50 crapshoot? You know, and personally, like I said, I wouldn't want to bet my life on, you know, winning a case in a court in this country. Nothing's for sure. I mean, even when the case seems so black and white that, you know, an idiot couldn't see it, you get these weird verdicts, okay? Especially in some of these crimes that made it on the national, you know, attention. You know, when you see a guy that, you know, like Trayvon Martin, I mean, when you see that story and you think, how the hell could they think of, you know, it's like, I don't know. These people are either dumb, or they don't understand the law, or they just, you know, they don't see it, or maybe he paid them off. I mean, that's how you know, that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's a kind of a system that you really can't understand. You know, how 12 people and a jury can come up to an answer with that totally defies logic. You know, and you wonder, you know, these space cadets here, I mean, are these people really that stupid? You know, so I don't know. But all I know is in this situation here, they got to figure out a way to get him off the bench whenever they're talking about the January 6th stuff or anything related to Donald Trump, okay? Because obviously he and his wife were tied right to his shirt tail. And now we're finding out that his wife was really, really out of her friggin' mind. She's one of them damn idiots that thinks that Biden stole the election, okay? So she's as wacky as, you know, as all get go. So anyway, then we find out that North Korea was able to launch a friggin' rocket here, their first intercontinental ballistic missile to reach the United States all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast. And now that's got everybody talking, because they're worried now that they're going to be able to start arming these things with nuclear warheads and stuff. And I'm saying, well, look, here's the thing. We let this country sit idle for decades, okay? We couldn't win the Korean War, so we kind of left it and left the country split in half. And instead we tried to, you know, honor a ceasefire where no victory was declared, okay? And so we let this country just fester and fester and fester, and we didn't try to prevent them from getting the ability to be able to launch anything over here. And I'm saying, well, if it was so important back then to stop that part of their country from turning communist, you know, why didn't we go back later and continue the fight and push communism out of the country? You know, I just feel like, you know, there has to be a reason there why we sat and let this country just sit there when they didn't have, you know, the ability to hit us from afar. But now they've achieved that. They've achieved that goal now, and so now we have, you know, a new threat. And if China in all this time was helping them to create this, and now North Korea is able to hit the United States, couldn't that be looked at as an act of war against the United States, that you're helping an ally attack this country by developing weapons to do so? Because what's going to be the problem at the end of the day when North Korea becomes nuclear? Okay, they're going to have leverage over us, just like Russia does now, and we can't do anything. When Russia rattles its sword, we have to sit and bite our nails while they're committing war crimes and trying to do genocide, destroying hospitals and destroying schools, and, you know, places where ordinary citizens are going, and kids. And they're doing this because they can't win against the troops that are in Ukraine fighting against them. So they're trying to demoralize the whole country by killing all their citizens and their kids and stuff, hoping that that'll push them to surrender. All it's doing is pushing them to fight even harder, because now these people are incensed now. They don't give a fuck if they're related to the people that are in the military in Russia. Okay, if you're wearing a Russian uniform and you're standing in their face, they're going to kill you. Okay, they're going to kill you, because now what they're doing over there is they're just turning this war into a vendetta here of epic proportions, and they're not going to stop. This war is not going to stop anytime soon. I can tell you that right now. It's not going to stop. They're trying to have talks for a ceasefire or something like that. Forget it. That's not going to happen. Putin is invested in this thing, and he's going to take his country right off the cliff to try to beat Ukraine. And Ukraine isn't going to stop fighting so long as they keep getting weapons from the rest of the world to keep fighting. So this is going to turn into like another little Israel, you know, where this is going to be a country that's nothing going to be but a giant parking lot at the end of the day. And all I can think of is that we could have avoided this if the United States would have put the no-fly zone in and dared Putin to take it a step further, okay? Which I know he wouldn't have. I know he wouldn't have done it, because he's not going to destroy Russia for Ukraine. If he wants to be the master of his land, then he can't do it if Russia's destroyed, right? So what the hell, what's the point? You know, if he can't keep his country and have his cake and eat it too. So the fact is, he's not going to launch nukes and destroy the one thing he's trying to create, lose all his chance of becoming a hero of his former self. I mean, this isn't what he's going to do. But people are we've talked ourselves into fear, being so afraid of the nuclear weapon that, you know, we're too afraid to use it to our advantage when the time is necessary, okay? The rest of the world doesn't have a problem with rattling their sword that we got nukes and we're going to launch them if you know, we hear it all the time from China, from Russia, from North Korea. We hear this all the time. So I'm thinking, well, why can't we say it? I mean, Jesus, I mean, we're supposed to be a superpower. Why aren't we just throwing our fat around, okay, and getting these countries scared of us? So I don't know. But I think that, you know, if we had acted sooner and done what they asked of us, done what the Ukrainians asked of us, we wouldn't be kind of in this boat right now where we're seeing the world basically getting stronger and more defiant against us, because now they see that the UN is toothless, okay? They're toothless. They don't have the balls or the temerity to stand up for their conviction. They say they'll defend a democratic society, and then when the time comes to, you know, put their money where their mouth is, they shrink away and say, well, we'll just do sanctions, okay? Okay, you think Putin really gives a shit? I mean, if he doesn't care about his people, he's certainly not going to care about the sanctions. As long as his fat ass is filled with food every night, he's not going to care, you know, about, you know, the people out there starving to death, or even his own damn military starving to death while they're out there fighting, okay? So, like I said, they mean nothing to him. The sanctions don't mean anything to him. He'll sit and watch his country collapse before he'll even give in to that. And that's been the motive of every damn person that's ever run that part of the world, from the Soviet Union to Russia. You know, they've always been the same way. It's this mafia mentality that runs that kind of that part of the world. That the people at the top are number one. Everybody else, they get fed the crumbs that they're left behind at the table. They don't treat them right. There is no middle class in that part of the world. It's the rich and the poor, and that's it. And the rich have control of the propaganda machine, and the poor over there have no choice but to believe it. Okay, and that's what they're right now. They're a lot of people in Russia think it's Ukraine's fault that this is happening, and that's the result of the state-run media over there delivering lies to the people watching their television. They got their version of Fox News over there, and that's all they have. Okay, they don't have an independent you know, or something that, you know, different selections like we got here. For a while they had the internet where they could get their news in other ways, but Putin's cut that off, so now nobody can get the internet over there. So these people in Russia are all in another world, just like the Trumpsters and, you know, and Clarence Thomas's wife live in another world. Okay, so that's kind of where it is right now with that. And like I said, it's sad that so many people are going to die, because the longer this war goes on, the more angry both sides are going to get, and the less likely they're going to want to stop. Okay, and I can only imagine that if this goes on for months and months, that by, you know, at that point, there's not going to be not only much left of Ukraine to protect, but there's not going to be a whole lot of willingness to stop. You know, it's just going to be eye for an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye. Okay, and the people who fled and are seeing their family members fighting and dying, you know, what fallout do you think that's going to create? So, like I said, this is a situation that we could have really changed if we would have gotten involved in this a lot sooner, by making a quick stand against Russia, whether the UN was behind it or not. I mean, the United States could have acted unilaterally and put a no-fly zone there, while the UN sat around and figured out what they wanted to do. So I figure that's what they should have done, is that, because you know, when you're dealing with Russia, you don't want to sit and wait with them. When they take action, it happens quick. That's why Putin made it sort of a surprise to his military that, hey, I'm marching you guys over there for a test. I mean, actually for a drill, or war games. That's what he told them, that they were going down that way for war games. And when they finally got there, he tells them to cross the border and start shooting and killing. You know, the generals didn't even realize that that's why they were there. He kept them all in the dark, and so that's how they operate. It's a surprise attack, and the rest of the world was needlessly caught off guard. They should have expected that Putin was up to something that wasn't going to be good. You don't mobilize that much military to one place just for war games on the other side of somebody's border. Okay, that's ridiculous. Obviously, he was there to attack, and very few people believed it, but there were some that did, and I believed it. I believed he was going to attack, and so it happened. But like I said before, he's not having a very easy time of it, because he figured that this thing would have been over in just a week or 2 weeks. And here we are, what, 28, 29 days into this thing, and it's still they're giving as well as they take, the Ukrainians. So they're holding their ground, and, you know, neither side is really getting a very good advantage here over the other. It's just, it's a stalemate, pretty much. How long they can maintain that, I don't know. But I know that the longer this plays out, the worse it's going to get for everybody else that's not involved in the actual fighting itself. You know, the rest of the world is going to start putting more pressure on Russia. And right now you got Biden telling China to stay the hell out of it. Whether China wants to hear it or not, I don't know. Okay, because Putin is also going over there talking to the leader of China and asking him, you know, if they could help out, you know, with equipment and stuff. So what China does is kind of probably going to decide the outcome of what happens here in Ukraine. If he goes one way, Ukrainians could win, and if he goes the other way, Ukrainians will lose. I don't know, but this is really not a very good time to be putting China into this mix, because, you know, this could end up into a three-way fight here, very easy. And since China's been building up its military for years now, they got the biggest navy in the world, and, you know, they've been building ports all over the Pacific side of the, you know, on their side of the on the continent. From all the little islands they got there, you know, they got little ports they've been buying up here for years now, and places to dock their ships. So, I mean, they're preparing themselves for an eventual fight with the United States. And, you know, if it happens, you know, who knows? I mean, it could end up being, you know, World War III just because they invited China to get involved in this thing, you know. But it's not really, I think that this is really, the worst part of this is time. And we can't really afford to waste it. And like I said, if they had done what I had suggested earlier on, I think there would have been more motivation to stop this thing than to keep it going. There might have been more of a push to settle this thing by, you know, having a ceasefire and letting Russia back out of this thing and go to the table, basically, to try to work out something with the Ukrainians, which is what they should have done. Any good leader would always use military force as the last resort in a thing like this, okay? If there's something about a country that you want, then it's always the best foot forward to go in and make a deal or something, an arrangement, mutual trade or something, what, you know, about it that you desire. You don't go in with guns blazing and just steal it from other people, okay? That's the sign of a dictator. That's the sign of a Hitler or a Stalin or a Mussolini. I mean, that's the kind of thinking that those people do. And look what happened to all of them at the end of the day. Okay, they weren't around long enough to enjoy the victory of their spoils and stuff. They didn't have it. And so what Putin is doing is a failed history. I mean, as history showed it, it's a failed attempt. It never works. And the only thing that happens is a lot of people get killed and a lot of property damage, and you know, it's a mess. And at the end of the day, the country you were after will probably rise up stronger than yours, you know, in a few years' time. So I just think that, like I said, we should have went into this thing sooner. I can't help but think that it would have turned out a whole lot better. That we could be in a ceasefire right now, and they could be talking about, you know, trying to make some kind of deal or something between Ukraine and Russia. Instead, we're just seeing people say, "Oh, well, I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. I don't know how." You know, we're still doubtful about what's going to happen. Okay. In the meantime, more people, millions more people are coming out of Ukraine, and the rest of the world is going, "We can't take any more of these people." You know, we created a problem for ourselves now that we could have prevented if we'd have just stepped in sooner and put in no-fly zones over Ukraine and forcibly pushed the Russian military out of Ukraine and back into Russia where they belong. Okay. Because like I said, I doubt Putin would have launched any nukes. He'd have bitched and hollered and threatened to push every damn one, but he wouldn't have done it, okay? And I don't think anybody should have believed that he was going to, okay? Fighting a conventional war is a whole different game than actually going full throttle nuke, okay? And if he really gave a shit about a victory, he's not going to sacrifice his victory just to have scorched earth in place of it. Okay, if there's something he wants, he's going to want it. He's not going to destroy it if he wants it, okay? Because then that would be counterproductive to what he's trying to do. He's trying to go down in history as something to be remembered. If there's nobody left alive to remember him or to have history record it, then what the hell did he win? Nothing. Okay? So I can't think that he would be that dumb to actually think that, you know, he can do this, you know, launch nukes and he'd still get his day. So anyway, that's it for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and please keep your ears open for any COVID-19 news, local news and stuff, find out how things are going, and please support Ukraine in however way you can, maybe even just talking to some people that are refugees now out of that country online, just to let them know that they're not forgotten. That would be helpful for And if you want to subscribe, please do so. That way you can comment on my videos. Be happy to hear from you. I hope everybody has a great week, so take care, everyone.